Here's a question for you. Are more guns the key to curbing violent crime? Firearms are involved in the deaths of more than 30,000 Americans every year, but some say let everyone pack heat and you'll see those numbers go down. Really? John Stossel is host of Stossel on the Fox Business Network, which has just been moved to 9 p.m. from 8 p.m., so that's where you can see John. All right, John, what's this? Didn't you used to feel differently about this? Didn't you used to be an anti-gun guy?
Yeah, I was a garden variety liberal working for ABC News. Everybody hates guns and loves regulation and thinks that more rules will protect everybody and stop gun crime. But, well, I discuss it as I begin my show. We have a clip on that.
You've heard what the mainstream media says about these.
You just having a gun to defend yourself puts us all at danger.
Organizations like the NRA, which are trying to increase deaths by gun in this country.
Violence is always going to be part of it if guns are available.
That made sense to me for years because it's logical to think that if more people own these, there'll be much more gun crime.
Also, I live in New York City. There are a lot of people here. If just some of them carried guns, I assumed there'd be gunfire all the time.
After all, if a couple gets into a fight or people get into a car accident, if they're armed, instead of just shouting at each other, they might shoot and kill each other. That's why it's a good thing that I now am not armed. Except...
What if the mainstream media, as so often happens, is wrong, or at least missing the point?
What if more guns means less crime?
Do you have facts to back that up?
Well, after researching it for years, yes, it seems more guns often equals less crime. I mean, the best example is concealed carry. We asked people outside this studio, what would life be like if the average adult were allowed to carry a concealed handgun? And they say things like, it'd be awful, terror, blood on the streets. But what they don't know, because we're so isolated here in New York, is that most states already allow that. And in the states where they pass the laws, here's a chart that chronicles...
It's not a Stossel hit without the props.
Gun crime, murder went down after states passed concealed carry laws.
Why? Why is that?
Because the bad guys start thinking, gee, if I rob this guy, he might be packing. Maybe I won't, or maybe I'll go someplace where they aren't carrying
Now,
guns.
knowing that you were going to take this position, went online to the Brady Center. They're anti-gun, as you know.
And we'll have them on my show.
Okay, and these are the statistics that they put out there. They say that states with high household gun ownership have more unintentional shooting deaths than states that have low gun ownership. They say that a gun is 22 times more likely to be used in an attempted suicide, in a criminal assault or homicide, or an unintentional shooting than it is to be used in self-defense.
All right, well, let's break them down one at a time. The first one was what again?
The first one was the states that have more gun ownership, more households have guns, have more unintentional shooting deaths than states that have low numbers of guns.
Well, that's logical, and I'm sure true. Unintentional deaths, you're going to have more gun accidents where you have more guns. But that doesn't really address the issue. If you're scared and you live in a dangerous neighborhood, are you in total safer if you're able to protect yourself?
Well, you know, the thing is, you mentioned being a liberal, right, and working for ABC News and feeling that guns are bad. I mean, I grew up in upstate New York, and
where everybody has a gun, right?
Well, no, but it's a very liberal area, and I was
upstate New York.
Yeah, the parts where I was in the big cities, the big cities of upstate New York. But anyway, the point is, I was sort of raised to believe the same, that guns are bad. And then I had a personal security issue in my life, and for the first time in my life, went to the shooting range and started taking shooting lessons. And it was a sort of a scary experience for me, but also very empowering. And for the first time in my life, I felt, maybe these guns actually aren't so bad. Maybe they could be used by the good person against the bad person who wants to cause them harm. But you don't really understand that as somebody who's raised to believe they're bad.
Totally. And they've been called the great equalizer for just the example you give for women. Women generally smaller than men. How can a woman defend herself against a stalker or some crazy guy? And
right.
Frankly, more of us guys are crazy than you women for whatever reason.
Well, we act out in different ways.
That's true. And a gun is the great equalizer.
But you can't have one here in New York.
No, we have... I'm not even allowed to hold a fake gun in the studio.
Is that true? You couldn't even bring one in for the
That's
set?
right.
So that cop uniform you wear doesn't have a gun connected to it?
No,
I was looking at the Billy Club.
And often what's not in the statistics are how many times, some people say millions, somebody just showing a gun stops a crime.
Yeah.
It doesn't get reported because often the people don't want to tell the police about it because they're afraid the cops will take their gun.
And you worry that the bad guy's going to have a gun because it's so easy to get him on the black market, and that you're going to be caught without one. You know, your fist or your knife to his gun when he's broken into your house in the middle of the night. So, I mean, there are arguments on both sides.
That's true.
You will be exploring
the
them both.
evidence is on the gun side.
And so don't mess with Stossel, really. That's what he's trying to tell you, because we all know Stossel doesn't follow the law. You know, I mean, the marijuana and the prostitutes, not that he partakes.
Talk against the law.
Not that he does those things. He just wants them to be legal.
I want to allow free people to do things like that.
I know.
Not saying I do them.
All right, folks, you can catch
Maybe
John
you do them, but
on his show tonight. Yes, I'm a big fan of the prostitutes. Stossel on the Fox Business Network. It's tonight. Wait, 10 p.m.
No.
Eastern. That's not right. Is that right?
well,
when the heck does this show air?
Thursday at 9. Over the weekend, I think 9. Here and there, you can check the guide. It'll be wrong.
Thursday
but if you
at
watch
9,
Fox
Friday
Business
at 10.
constantly,
Just TiVo him and watch him whatever you want. Thanks, John.